give us the keynote address, Honorable Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, my friend. Sorry, I have to keep sneaking that in case it makes it on Twitter. Karibu. Let's give a round of applause as she comes on stage for her remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. But what was your name again? His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, who is with us virtually. His Excellency, the Deputy President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Mpango. Your Excellency, Governor Anne Waiguru, the Chairperson of the Council of Governors, Kenya, and any other governors present. The Nation Media Group Chairperson, Dr. Wilfred Kiboro. The CEO, Nation Media Group, Mr. Stephen Gitaguma. Professor Dr. Patrick Vakuyen, CEO of the Global Center on Adaptation. Dr. Azim Lukani, diplomatic representative of the Aga Khan Development Network. Dr. James Mwangi, the MD and CEO, Equity. The CEO, Safaricom, Peter Ndegwa. The CEO, KCB, Paul Russo. Mr. John Gashara, MD and CBA. The members of the diplomatic community here present. We have Excellency ambassadors, civil society members, the Nation Media Group board, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As has been said, I am going to, first of all, convey the message from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, and by first reading his speech. Climate change is the social, political, and economic issue of our time. It is going to define the future of Kenya, the future of Africa, and the globe. And it is our collective responsibility to participate in shaping how the phenomenon will affect our future. To respond to climate change, what is needed is leadership with purpose, vision, and urgency. We saw this at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, a few weeks ago, when delegates kept going for 3 more days after the scheduled close of the conference to go on to adopt 60 decisions, some of which affect vulnerable developing countries like Kenya. After hours of political negotiations, parties established a fund to address the loss and damage caused by climate change. This is an important step in the right direction and possibly what global leaders needed to jolt themselves out of dangerous inertia over climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, these are trying times for most African countries. Our societies are still recovering and rebuilding after COVID, and now we have to deal with the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war, drought, and food prices. These crises affect our ability to respond to climate change. It is projected that Africa will need to invest over $3 trillion for mitigation and adaptation by 2030 in order to implement its nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. The bulk of these resources were supposed to come from the rich industrialized nations responsible for the heaviest pollution, but this has failed to effectively take off. Africa has the potential to provide solutions for the global climate change crisis. Our vast natural resources can produce sufficient clean energy for local development and even export the surplus to decarbonize the global north. Africa can exploit the new carbon market mechanisms to meet most of her development needs. A purposeful collaboration among African states can give us a platform to exploit our strengths for our own development and get the possible share and bargains with multilateral partners. Our countries need to share information and experiences because our situations are similar. We need to upscale early warning systems and enhance systematic observations to build resilience, champion appropriate technologies and systems, and build the capacities of our citizens to cope with the more frequent and more intense extreme weather events. In East Africa, our climate change master plan is woefully underfunded. I challenge this festival to tackle the question of how to resource Africa's response to climate change without holding our breath, waiting on reliance on outside help. I would also like to urge you to think about the most widespread threats of climate change. Some worst case models, for example, predict that at the current rate of changing temperatures and receding lake levels, Lake Victoria could have no outlet to the White Nile in as little as 10 years. Lake Victoria is a Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda issue with catchment spanning up to Rwanda, and no single nation can do much to reverse its misfortunes on its own. Like elsewhere in the world, our coastal infrastructure, ecosystems, cities, and livelihoods are threatened by rising sea temperatures and marine heat waves. 4 of the 7 East African community nations are landlocked, and the Democratic Republic of Congo has a small coastal strip. What complicates the situation is that the landlocked countries are dependent on access to the sea through 2 countries, Kenya and Tanzania. The situation is quite different in South Africa. What climate change does to Kenya and Tanzania's ports is a big concern for the East and Central African hinterland. This demands closer regional cooperation and governance arrangements for regional security. At the domestic level, upwards of 4 million Kenyans are staring at hunger as a result of acute drought. This requires urgent short-term interventions and medium to long-term strategic action. We have launched an ambitious plan to increase our tree cover from the current 12.13% to 30% by 2032. We will begin by planting and growing 15 billion trees on 10.6 million hectares of land all over the country at an estimated cost of $5 billion US. This endeavor can only be achieved through collective action. We are living at a time when we must be conservationists and play a part in safeguarding our environment. We will not meet this challenge through top-down decrees, but bottom-up action. Together, we will create powerful citizen initiatives that will green our nation and secure our future from present and impending disaster. In this historic collaboration between the government and the people of Kenya, we will have a number of mobilization tools. And at this Kusi festival, as we mentioned, those that are ingrown government initiatives, for example, in the run-up to planting our 15 billion trees, we have a Trees for Birthdays strategy. I urge every Kenyan to plant trees equivalent to their age on each birthday. Our population is about 55 million, and its median age is 20 years. The trees that would be planted through the Trees for Birthday scheme is 1.1 billion annually. If the world, whose median age is 30 years, were to adopt this strategy, it would result in planting 120 billion to 240 billion trees annually, thus providing the rapid healing that our world needs right now. Another idea is celebrating the 4 mothers. In Africa, every person has 4 mothers. Mother number 1 is Mother Earth, who is our planet. Mother number 2, Mother Africa, our continent. Mother number 3, the motherland, our country, Kenya. Mother number 4 is our biological parents, living and, not with us. The fathers will forgive me. We will have a formula for the fathers too. If each Kenyan plants 4 trees to represent the 4 mothers each year on Mother's Day, the initiative would yield 220 million trees annually. If once again the world was to adopt our approach, the number of trees planted would be 32 billion, now that the world's population has hit the 8 billion mark. Another cooking idea, and we borrowed from other experiences, is the Youth Core Conservation Green Movement. The YCC Green Movement is inspired by the American 3Cs program that was used to build parks after the Great Depression of 1929 to 1933. The 3Cs stood for Citizen Conservation Cause, a movement that employed nearly 2 million young Americans and put them to work on conservation projects. In a similar manner, the national and county governments could engage the youth in forest restoration. This will create between 10 million and 20 million jobs in 20 years for our young people. The youth will provide paid and voluntary labor and bring on board the technical skills required in the care of trees. This is the roadmap that replaces the Kazi Mtaani initiative. Number 4, we have an idea around corporate's green movement, where environmental resources underpin almost all economic activities. In the process of creating wealth and making profits, many companies use natural resources to the point of depletion or degradation, and consequently polluting the environment. Thankfully, most corporates recognize the need to give back and have set up corporate social responsibility programs to this end. Among the best gifts corporations can give back to the communities is environmental restoration. Corporations will be engaged and encouraged to adopt degraded areas of rehabilitation. And I must say I'm happy that I see a number of our partners sitting here today. Another great idea flouted by the Green Blue Africa Foundation and the Nation Media Group is the Square Meter campaign, which, I'm sure they are inviting all of us to ponder over and be partners, is the Square Meter campaign, where it is proposed that we shall launch an online fundraising platform through which individuals and corporates donate 300 shillings to restore 1 square meter of degraded land. The 300 shillings investment will give a return of $3,600 within 25 years, which is a 1,200% return on investment in a restored environment. 300 shillings will buy a seedling, have it planted and nurtured for 3 years. This amount also takes care of the logistics and administrative costs. It is estimated that for arid and semi-arid lands in Kenya alone, 10 to 20 million youth will be employed to grow trees over the next 25-year period. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my belief that these models and approaches, which are our own thoughts and solutions, can lead and will move the needle in Kenya's fight against climate change. We can begin a global culture, ignite a movement, while surpassing even our most ambitious goals here at home. Once again, I thank the Nation Media Group, other organizers and sponsors for driving the crucial conversations on homegrown responses and solutions to climate change. God bless you, and God bless Kenya. Your Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the President's speech, and I would request that you'll allow me to just highlight a few issues in terms. We are in an ideas festival where we are supposed to put our ideas on the table, nurture them to actionable solutions to climate change. Kenya has remained a leader in very many fronts. As we stand right now, Kenya is holding the chairmanship of the Committee of African Heads of States and Government on Climate Change, where the President is the chairman. And we are leading from the front. In the area of energy, the statistics are out there. We are feeding our grid with 92.3% renewable energy. We are the first country to take a very bold step towards the banning of the use of the single-use plastic paper. But a lot still needs to be done around plastics. Once again, like has been highlighted in the President's speech, we are rolling out an extremely ambitious program to green our country. It is in the spirit of capitalizing on nature-based solutions, which is what we can do best. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 billion sounds like a mind-boggling figure. But if you break it down, it's only 300 trees per Kenyan for 10 years. I think it's a very small ask in attempts to respond to the climate catastrophe that is in our hands. We want to push it and flouting ideas that we will get to a point where we will ask Kenyans to do their bit, plant their 300 trees within the 10-year period, and even have an opportunity to award Kenyans with a certificate of green conduct, where we can attach it and place it at the value of credentials that you require to access services and jobs in this country, so that we can inculcate a spirit and a responsibility for Kenyans to take charge in this initiative. We will be requesting Kenyans, as we go to Christmas, instead of the traditional cutting of your Christmas tree, please, Kenyans, let's plant and decorate live Christmas trees. It is doable. Even though we will start with the small ones, I really beseech us, don't cut the tree, plant a green one, a live one. Every other year it will be big, and then we keep decorating live trees. We shall be holding a climate summit chaired by His Excellency the President as the chairman of KAHOSK. Early in the next year, we invite all the partners seated here to be with us to escalate the discussions that come out of the Kusi Festival as we consolidate our positions around the upcoming COPs as we go into it. And we welcome all of you to join our hands. We join our hands together. We want to establish a green army of young people who will move us from just planting trees to growing the trees. And after 3 years, Kenyans can qualify to get their certificates of green conduct. We need technological support because we need to keep tab and track this initiative to its fruition. And like has been said, we need to put a spirited campaign around it, like the Momonyoko campaign. This time round, it is the one for greening the country, and we welcome the support and partnership of each and every one of us. Thank you very much, and I wish all of us fruitful deliberations going forward. Thank you.